Welcome back. Now, as the year is coming to an end, and this is now the best time where the service industry is in high demand time, our professor and director of research at Harold Pupkewitz Graduate School of Business, Prof. Sulaiman Atiku, who is willing to come join us in studio this morning just to talk to us about the withdrawal progression in the workplace, effects of workplace silence, quiet quitting, and quiet firing on employee turnover, evidence from the service industry. Welcome to Namibia Connect.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Just as we get into this important topic, Professor, your recent study examines workplace silence, quiet quitting, and quiet firing. For viewers who may not be familiar with these terms, can you briefly explain to what each of them means and how they differ?
Okay, thank you so much for that. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge my other co-authors, Professor Andrew Jeremiah and Professor Kabiru Ishola Genti. Those are the other two co-authors, and the paper was published in International Journal of Organizational Analysis, and we look at the workplace silence in sub-Saharan Africa, the service industry in sub-Saharan Africa. So the first stage of it is workplace silence. Workplace silence means employee disengagement. Not that they've resigned from the workplace, but they psychologically disengage and they withhold certain vital information like their opinions, feedback from their supervisors or management team in the organization. That's workplace silence. It means that they lose their commitment, low level of commitment, and they shush. Basically, they keep quiet. So employee quiet, silence. Now, the quiet quitting is a form of where employee withhold their services. They just do the bare minimum. You're doing the bare minimum, you're not going over just 50% to avoid queries and all that. That's quiet quitting. Now, the quiet firing, which is the next stage, is a subtle managerial passive-aggressive behavior. You're not shouting, it's a passive-aggressive behavior where managers or supervisors withhold supports, mentoring, coaching, and other essential supports that employees require from their organization, line managers, and all that. So, and technically avoiding what is called constructive dismissal. So just to frustrate tactically frustrating the employees and leading to voluntary resignation. And you will see that there are cases where people will say that, oh, for my psychological well-being, I would rather resign. So friends or colleagues have resigned from their place of work without getting a better offer. And that's as a result of quiet firing. And you could see how that quiet firing leads to employee turnover. It's a voluntary kind of withdrawal of service by tendering their resignation. So you see, what we did with that paper is to progressive pathway from workplace silence to quiet quitting to quiet firing, then eventually employee turnover. And what we've seen is that the first stage of withdrawal progression is actually the psychological withdrawal before physical withdrawal.
But I'm keen to know as to what leads to that. What happens for a person to really get to that point?
Now, the idea of the quiet quitting and quiet firing started in the post-pandemic period. Now, you know, when COVID came, people were working remotely at home. They were used to it. And Gallup study 2024 shows that quiet quitting worldwide, quiet quitting have resulted into loss of $8.9 trillion and about 62% of global employees exhibit quiet quitting. And that was what motivated us into that. It's a kind of phenomenon or workplace dynamics that started in 2023. If you check recent research, 2023, 2024, we started experiencing quiet quitting and also quiet firing, and we just connected it how it could lead to eventual employee turnover. And we also found that there was no direct impact of workplace silence on employee turnover.
Yeah. Just to get more into that, which factors such as workplace silence, quiet quitting, or quiet firing had the strongest impact on employees' decision to leave an organization?
The research shows that the findings shows that quiet firing plays the more prominent role.
Okay.
And we also discovered that the quiet quitters are the target for quiet firing. Of course, as a line manager, you want to get rid of your weak subordinates, those that are not contributing towards the attainment of your departmental goal or corporate strategy, unproductive employee, because they are doing just the bare minimum, 50%. And you want to keep your top performer and the employee. So it's a kind of, in HR, in human resource management, it takes two to tango, like I put it that way. So it's both equal right. If you have a power to withhold your services, the employer also has a power to also put up retaliatory managerial passive-aggressive behavior to avoid constructive dismissal in the labor court.
Of course. Now, many employees and employers are heading into the holiday season, a natural time for reflection, of course. Why is this period particularly critical for identifying and addressing silent issues within the workplace?
Yeah, it's so important to see many organizations are going on end-of-the-year functions to appreciate their effort, their contribution towards the attainment of strategic objectives in 2025, for example. Now, what happened is that that's a kind of emotional, what I call emotional compensation, to say, oh, we appreciate your efforts, time to reflect and relax. But what they could do when coming back for the New Year's, they've rested, when they come back, the first meetings, I think they need to re-strategize because it's human relations. You're dealing with workers, people, they have emotions. It's all about human relations. And it's high time that supervisors and managers undergo training. We have short courses at NAS, training on how the science of influence, how to get the best out of your subordinate and how to address the issues of workplace silence. And it's really affecting the productivity in workplaces. Why? When was the last time in various organizations you had employee engagement survey? When was the last time you did employee satisfaction survey? We can do that. We can conduct that research for businesses to see and to get that employee survey. And that is what we refer to as human resource analytics. How do we take intervention through data? We are not just taking decisions based on our intuition. It's a data evidence-based decision-making process. Why? What is the essence of silence? Why are people disengaged? So you need to do that before you come up with your intervention, HR intervention, HR strategies to do that. I think from next year, this is what they need to do to open them up.
I think what I observed in some organizations, for example, it's a thing of I'm paying for you to do this service. So whatever emotional problem that you might have or how unsatisfied you are, I just want you to deliver a service and I pay you for it. So how dangerous is that in a workplace?
Now, for example, I believe that when you're dealing with employees, we are defined that there's individual demographic differences, but we want to use a one cap fits all for everybody. Yeah. So that's the fundamental mistakes. So identify that individual demographic differences. To identify in my group, you have introverts, you have extroverts, you have they are motivated differently. You need to understand their personality and how to deal with them and how to get the best out of them. So, for example, in some service industry, for example, you employ talent. Do you employ talent to dictate how they should do things? But when you employ talent, you give them their job descriptions and responsibility and allow them to come out with innovative way of achieving better results. So, and that is the essence of engaging talent. But when you engage talent and you begin to macromanage, or when they come up with constructive feedback, there's lack of psychological safety. Psychological safety is another issue where people don't use in organization, and the use of employee engagement, inclusive leadership, participative leadership, this can open them up to make meaningful contribution towards the attainment of strategic goals and objectives.
Your research also highlights early warning signs of disengagement. Talk to us about that.
Right. Like I said, before actual disengagement or turnover, employee turnover, they start with psychological withdrawal.
Yeah. And
that is in it. Now, the employee behavior is actually a physical behavior, and that is the outcome.
Yeah.
And so we often say that behavior is a manifestation of an attitude. Things like commitment, low commitment, high level of commitment, those are attitudes. Satisfaction, those are attitudinal. So behavior or resignation, absenteeism, those are behavior. It's a manifestation of an attitude. So understanding things like job satisfaction, for example, is attitudinal. Job dissatisfaction is also attitudinal. But the manifestation of job dissatisfaction will be high level of productivity. But the manifestation of job dissatisfaction could be high level of absenteeism and eventually resignation, which is employee turnover. But when people resign, let's say you resigned first quarter 2026, before you resigned, that started maybe 1 or 2, 3 years ago, because you've been nursing that ambition to leave your current job and start seeing some people with positive emotion who say that no matter what, I have to look for better offer before I'll resign. Those with negative emotions will go into depression, withhold their services, disengagement, and eventually they will then tell you, for my psychological well-being, it's better to resign and maintain my sanity without getting a better offer elsewhere. Which sometimes they put the families in a kind of jeopardy by resigning based on negative emotions and how to deal with such issues. But we offer training on how to deal with this. We have short courses in our business schools. You can contact Elena Shipanga, we also do employee engagement survey for organization because we believe in diagnostic approach. We don't know what are the causes of workplace silence? What are the causes of employee silence? And how do we address the issue? Because what we discover in our research model, we discover that I thought the use of psychological safety will salvage the impact of workplace silence on quiet quitting and quiet firing. But unfortunately, we discovered that psychological safety has no significant, does not moderate the interaction between workplace silence on employee quiet quitting or quiet firing. So we tend to look for other positive organizational behavior to address that issue.
Indeed. The service industry is known for a high staff turnover. What specific retention strategies did your research suggest that could help organizations hold on to their top talent?
Yeah, I'll tell you, of all HR practices and all that, employee retention is the most difficult in theory and in practice, essentially in practice, because there are so many extraneous factors that would, beyond the control of the organization, your present employer, that may inform that. Now, because it could be, maybe if you got a better offer in Australia or Canada, by looking at the exchange rate, it's difficult for your current employer to counter offer. So it's beyond. So that's why I think there are other interventions we have work-life balance strategies that you could use. You have employee engagement strategy. You have emotional compensation. And oftentimes, many employers think the best way to retain their top talent is through financial rewards. But that's itself is a problem. For certain criteria, you will discover that emotional compensation is more effective than financial reward. Take, for example, you're paying me 1 billion Namibian dollars, if possible, per month, and you call me stupid every time and there. So I want to leave. But employers think everything revolves about money. And we've seen some people resign from high-paying job and take less-paying job because they want to have time, because autonomy, because of freedom, because they have control over what they do, or because of passion that they have for their job. So, and fundamental problem is thinking that money answers all. There are some people at the lower level employees, money can motivate. But at a certain level, you need other factors that are beyond money, and money is not everything. It's high time that people begin to look for other talent retention strategies, recognition, emotional compensation, employee involvement, inclusive leadership, participative leadership, and so on and so forth.
And how does this help your organization if you look at the aspects that you just mentioned?
Yeah, it helps the organization because the most unique asset of any organization is talent.
Indeed.
Now, you have, some people put money first or financial capital first, but just employ a wrong person to manage that resources. It's gone. So now we begin to value positive organizational behavior. All human, you have emotions. I have emotions. Everybody, and we begin to value leadership and followership. And it's two-way thing. So people don't understand that people assume that leaders influence their followers. But the two-way thing, followers also influence their leader.
Indeed.
So now and that is the uniqueness of that human relation, and a lot of emotions, psychology, positive emotion, and negative emotions goes into it on how to value people. Now, for example, I'll say, Atiku, jump. Now, it depends on your level, interaction, interpersonal relationship that we have, and how motivated on me will determine my response. I could say, how high? I could say, why should I jump? So you could see that we should say, why should I jump? I'm not interested in jumping. You're infringing on my right. I don't want to jump. Means there's something wrong. But if I'm highly motivated, I say, Atiku, jump. How high do you want it?
Exactly.
And I jump. And that is the power of influence. And that's what I'm saying to say that. And it's high time that organizations understand that productivity that you look up to, you cannot achieve it without your unique assets. Because to increase my productivity, you need to do something to Atiku. Then it will then reflect for my work outcomes. And the work outcome could be talent retention, it could be high level of productivity and all that. But what we are saying is that people, managers, supervisors, lead executives in organization needs to understand and utilize positive organizational psychology.
So basically just what I'm getting from you is that you need to listen to your employees or just observe in terms of what is on the ground and understanding their emotional well-being as well in all that comes with it. But as we are closing off, just to how employees, what suggestions will you have for employers in terms of making sure that they pay attention to the employees, and also just making sure that you mentioned earlier about the survey that, for example, that they can do and all the other things that you mentioned. Maybe just to expand on that as well, what other areas can they look at?
Now, basically, to resolve people-related problems in organizations, I think we should stop. HR managers or directors in the service industry or in the industry generally, across the sector, should make use of data. evidence, data-driven decision-making. I don't just assume, why is she quiet? She's quiet because she's unhappy. Why she's unhappy? You have talent retention, you have exit data, you have so much performance data, you have these HR metrics. The HR department of every organization has this data. Some organizations do exit interview. You have that records. Do we analyze that data? Or should you wait before you do exit interview? Now, sometimes you discover that it's too late. Do you understand? You make use of this data. Employee satisfaction survey, how often should you do it? Employee engagement survey, how often should we do it? Now, employee association bosses, sometimes the supervisors or managers of top level management, when they engage them, you engage them on the basis of to fulfill all righteousness, without the true sense of getting information from them. And once they realize that, even if you are collecting the data, they just keep quiet or they don't give you honest feedback. So it's high time that we begin to listen to our unique asset, and that's why we are not just saying human resources management, human capital management. We are saying people management. Our people, not our resources, not our assets. When you say our people, if you say, oh, employees or assets, okay, I'm just a resources like your sand, like your water. But when you say, oh, my people, our people, there's a sense of belonging. It's landing somewhere. So I think people need to know how to engage better, how to use inclusive leadership style or participative leadership style, or Namibians or Africans need to understand authentic leadership or servant leadership. And that leadership is a position of responsibility. And for me, it doesn't matter if I just want the best out of you. And for me to get that best out of you, I must find a way how to engage you to get better results. And how to engage an introvert will be different from how you engage an extrovert. And it's just that science of influence, and understand your colleagues better and how to motivate them.
Indeed. Lastly, Prof, what future research areas do you believe need urgent attention just to help organizations better understand employee disengagement and improve retention?
Now, my current research, I want to look at employee or workplace ostracism. So why are people ostracized in organization, and how does culture play a significant role? If you look at Namibia, it's a small country, but you have different ethnic groups. And it's just, how do we manage our diversity? You see, when a particular tribe is in leadership position or CEO, you see, they want to be surrounded by people from similar culture. I think one thing that I've observed as an international faculty member is that diversity in South Africa or Namibia, it's one of the greatest strengths, but we don't know how to take advantage of our diversity. And when we think about diversity, what comes to mind oftentimes is discrimination.
Indeed.
But in other culture, when you talk about diversity, what comes to mind is the strength in diversity. You can see the positive emotion in other climates, where in America, for example, when you talk about diversity, you think, oh, there's strength in diversity. Namibia, South Africa is a rainbow nation. Now, but when we talk about diversity, we think, oh, discrimination. Certain color or race discriminated against us during apartheid. Now that we are in our time, let's discriminate against them. But forgetting the fact that different color, but one that we can, different race or ethnic group have their own unique strength that you can tap into. And when you don't take advantage of that, they migrate. Talent flies. And take, for example, you see, in many organizations today, being a CEO of a company has nothing to do with your competence. So oftentimes, it depends on your political affiliation. Sometimes it depends on the color of your skin. If you go to the private sector or go to a particular bank, it's some color, some race cannot become the CEO. It could be as a result of, it doesn't matter whether you're competent or less competent. Indeed. But for going forward, we should. And today, you can't look at your color of your skin and say you're less competent, you're very competent today. You can find competent people in any race, in any group, and that is the uniqueness of the 21st century. Anybody, there's equal opportunity, unlike in the past where a particular race has upper opportunities. But today, it's equal playing ground, and you could find a black Namibia that is very competent. You could find talent anywhere. And that is what we are saying, that going forward, we should be able to manage our diversity.
Indeed. Prof, thank you so much for being on Namibia Connect. And just your last points on power in diversity, I think it's an important one, and I wish you all the best. And hopefully we can have you again so that we can explore your paper on the power of diversity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was Prof. Sulaiman Atiku, who just joined us in the studio to talk about the effects of the workplace silence, quiet quitting, and quiet firing on employee turnover, evidence from the service industry. He just gave us a brief on that, and he explored what also employers can do in terms of making sure that they identify some of these signs when it comes to their employees. Namibia Connect will continue after this.